Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I am doing this on the very last day. Another SANS Internet Storm Center forensics challenge, this time for the month of December. Um, December 19th is the cutoff point. I believe the winners, along with the analysis of the infection traffic, will be presented, December 22nd. So won't know as to whether or not if I get this right, but I'll have this basically released and at least put up. So I'm doing this on the 19th. I'm going to submit the answers, put myself in the drawing. Besides that, I'll probably end up having to do like a follow-up on Wednesday in regards to um, basically where the belief was, and then basically compare that stuff from what I'm going to work through here. So it's similar to several of the others. We're going to get a PCAP, and from there we need to answer or find the answers to, okay, what's the IP address of the infected Windows computer, host name, the usernames, date and time the infection began in UTC, and then the family of malware that caused the infection. And so basically, I think it's a 26 meg. 28 when zipped expands out to a 32 meg PCAP file. And in typical running with this, as always, I am utilizing Network Miner as opposed to anything else. So I've got that transition, bing, bang, boom. Okay, there we go. Of course, and I realize here that that just destroyed the ability to see the... Okay, hang on. Okay, there we go. Move some stuff around so that way the stuff's a little bit easier to see. I don't think I really need to focus so much on that case panel. So allow everything to be seen a little bit easier. So, thanks to the processing that Network Miner does, we are able to see a good amount of info. So let's see, according to the description that they give off for the Active Directory environment, let me take Network Miner out from that. Okay, so LAN segment, it is a 10.12.3.0/24. Domain is fargreentech.com. Domain controller is at 10.12.3.3. The gateway's 10.12.3.1, and of course broadcast is good old .255. So going back to this in Network Finder, let me bring that back up. We can see we only have a few sections. We have the domain controller themselves, supposedly a fictional system at .35, .38. And really the only thing we have left is .66. With a darin.figueroa. But as that stuff's coming through here, I am going to sit there and start jotting down some notes. So it is the only real system that I see here. .12.3.66, the supposed name. Desktop dash Lima Umbrella October Alpha Bravo Victor 1. User accounts. So the only thing we have in there is Darin, Figueroa. Alright, so we need to work out the date and time of the infection, as this looks like this is the only Windows system in here. So let's see, if any of this stuff's going to go on. So it's from the desktop to the domain controller, HTTP cookie plus target mail. So I'm going to assume it's going to be December 3rd, sometime after. Yeah, because this is a bunch of mail stuff all over the place. So let's filter on the keyword. We want to focus on that system. So 10.12.3.6, D6. Any column in the like. Bing, bang, boom. Okay. So we got stuff being translated back and forth. Do we see anything in DNS? It starts to look like a little bit wonky. Looks like I misspelled games.shop, GAMAES.SOP, or SHOP. That looks like that would be a little bit weird. So I guess let's start working our way down here, unless it's going to be something with that news archtech.com. I've never seen a bunch of stuff for like example.com. Okay, when did we get the DNS portion? That looks like that was translated at 1942. Oh, there it is. We'll set everything up to be basically centered around on this box. So we get index.html from that games.shop. And of course, that's the other aspect is I don't know as to whether or not if I have any way to actually show this additional sub window that pops up. Doc type HTML. Looks like it's a detector for okay, let's open the file folder path. Will it come up? Yes, it will come up. Okay. So we're going to go to virus total. And I am going to dump from the extracted cache the index.html. 7 days ago does not seem to generate any sort of real concern. And that's the only thing that's in there from WP content. Almost like it's trying to figure out if, depending on the version of anything else that we've got. Depends on the version of IE and compatibility, everything else like that, then it doesn't really seem to tell much of anything else. And nobody's surprised, does not pick up, there are no engines detected as anything to be overly concerned about. So rather than just looking at that, if I open this up in that's interesting. Can I bring Notepad++ to the forefront? Yes, I can. Alright, so give me a second. I'm gonna move this around. Alright, so here is the contents of said HTML file. Which kind of makes it look like Cloudflare. Clear. Yeah. Suspected phishing site. Oh, it's too tall. That's why I can't show you anything else. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Oh, wow. Jeez. Of course, then that just gets worse because, okay, well, we can't make any of that out. There, and we'll just add a bunch of extra dots to it. But yeah, so here's the full file in question. So it looks like Cloudflare got in the way to denote and rewrote everything to basically say, hey, this is a phishing site. So we'll knock that out. So then the very next thing that we see is running through this. So besides that, then it becomes IE7 MNYF 4C.dll. And we are going to do the same exact thing. I am going to open this portion up. We will remove the network miner from the view. Then I am going to copy our DLL, virus total. We are going to verify that I am indeed not a robot. I am a biological robot, not a technological robot. So it looks like we're dealing with Emotet. I'll go with ones that I actually have belief in, at least a little bit. So Dr. Webb, Emotet. Kaspersky, Emotet. Trend Micro, Emotet. Webroot. I don't have a whole lot of faith in them, but Emotet. Sophos, Emotet. McAfee, Emotet. I mean, come on. If even Microsoft is on the same page. So now here comes the fun part. So time and date, so we're going to say Emotet. We'll see if anything else shakes out of it. As for the time and date, I'm going to mark once this sucker came down. So that looks like December 3rd, 2021 at 1942 UTC Emotet DLL downloaded. Because if it's being pulled down, then we can expect that it's being executed on the system. Although I am kind of interested to see as to what that games.shop would actually look like. So, what is it? URL scan.io, right? Yes. Alright, I just want to see as to what happens if I try to, I mean, I could just basically stand up a sandbox. I know that much, but I'm not sure as to whether or not if I really want to go through and do that. So this looks like this is just regular? Yeah. GAMAES dot SHOP slash WP dash content slash plugins. Can we get to it? Just to see if it'll do the same exact thing. Give us a Cloudflare alert. Has been linked as spear phishing. Okay, no, let's defend. App.any.run. Run for your life. Alright, we're going to go through and try to bypass that, just to see as to whether or not if that thing is still even alive, and if it's a vicious... Ah, okay. I mean, I've got this for a little while longer yet, so let's make use of the full-blown. We'll go pro mode, URL, IE, then we're going to go Firefox. We're going to give it the full thing. We're going to do man in the middle proxy. So worst case, we'll do Windows 10 64 and we will spin up this sucker. Just to see if it sits there and tries to redirect us to like that. What was the next one in sequence? News Arctech with another WordPress content. Don't show, go ahead and enter if it'll work. It very likely could have been compromised and then cleaned up, and this is just something that's left over. Well, that didn't get us much of anywhere. HTML inbound. Alright, so I'm going to stop that. We'll keep that logged in. We'll just say URL. I'm sure it's misspelled. Yes, I know. There it is. Really? Nothing. Okay, so what if we just remove that? Okay, now that removed that. Emotet to pull down the DLL, everything else. Okay. So with this still open, let's do this then. Duplicate. We have that. Let's go back to NarsTech, or the next one in sequence in terms of files. Oh, this is exactly where it pulled. Okay. Alright, so these must have been well known. I mean, obviously not super well known, but that was again another HTTP news aarctech.com. It looks like, yeah, so these were WordPress that were popped. So here's the question. We've got the second one open, right? Yes. Okay, so let's verify that we're on the right track from that. Bingo. Offline now, but at the time, we're serving up Emotet DLLs. Okay, so we've got confirmation. Definitely looks like it's Emotet, and we'll see if anything else shakes out from there. What's the time difference here? 1 second. So here's the first one, which looks like Cloudflare at least knocked that off there. So let's see, 1942 and 47 seconds. Looks like that failed. It fell back to the secondary and pulled that down at 1942 and 48 seconds. So we can assume that if it was pulled down, that it was going to sit there and actually execute on the system. of. When do we start getting to anything bigger? We got data transfers to. Okay, so this looks like when we start. Okay, go ahead and. Okay, we start seeing all this other stuff that gets knocked. Oh, of course I realize now that I don't have. Okay. All right, so we have confirmation that Emotet when everything kicked off. And then basically all I did was run down looking for the first things that look like they start to expand outwards. Because before that it looks like it's all nothing but a bunch of certificates. And we're starting to get into comms that reach out to mail.acoop-ks.co.jp. Oh. So this is kicking off, what is this? This is the HTML file? Actually, let me open that in Notepad++ first before I send it to a web browser to be rendered. Okay, so yeah, it starts sending out additional samples of itself. Okay, so let me bring that down. Let me open up Notepad again. So it makes reference to that FWA9 burn HA. So I've got that pulled open here in Notepad++. And so basically it denotes that there's a scan with a short password, which is typically how that stuff works in terms of getting around AV engines, because obviously if it cannot take a look at it. So this thing is going through and intentionally accessing the systems and then running from there to drop it. So if we go back to virus total, we have Emotet. And so this probably was from an email then. I'm going to be very careful and drag and drop. And here's our downloader. So I would say it would be a fairly safe bet. They got an email, much like this one here. Oh, let me get Notepad off the screen while this is rebuilding. So something very similar to this. Hey, we've attached a file, thank you for your business. Here's the password to take a look at said file. They go through, they open it, put in the password, they run the file. Office opens up and dutifully goes through and does what it's instructed to do. Give everyone Emotet. Yeah, macros. XML and macros. Macros for everybody. Do we have enough of the big names? Yeah, Kaspersky, Semantic, Trend Micro, Fortinet, Nod, Bitdefender. Yeah, okay, I'd say we got enough here to Say that we're on top of that. It sends out a PNG file. Is that PNG mentioned in the... Oh, if we look a little bit further down in all that, it's so they're trying to inject themselves in somebody else's stolen email box as a chain. Image 001.png, yes, that too was sent out. What does that look like? Like, oh, interesting. So it's just OPPO as a green box. And then we have a bunch of the other email stuff that's sent out. So can I open this up inside of the Windows Mail aspect and see what? Oh, not much there. And start sending out all these different messages, which, interestingly enough, don't really seem to... It's just got like a time and date stamp when I... open it up in Notepad. Any of these different individual files. Yeah, date Friday, December 3rd, 2021 at 2012:13 plus quad zeros. They don't seem to generate a whole heck of a lot. And that seems to continue all the way through there. And we've got certs going back and forth yet again. So is it turning around to start sending out more? Another macro-enabled Excel file and some forward emails. All right, so let's duplicate this, and we'll remember the first one that was sent out starts in 45 AA and ends in DED. This one looks like PO. Okay, it looks like a second set. A file being sent out. And then if we take a look at this one, gives us another HTML file. That's just going to directly attach to it. So there's that second HTML file, the forward. Please see attached, that then ends up having that XLSM file attached to it directly, as opposed to zipping it, password protecting that zip file to get it passed. And do we end up with anything else as I'm digging through this? Oh, wait, transition. Oh, I hate that aspect. Just constantly having to go back and forth. Wonder if whether or not if there's any way to sit there and do the transition to just constantly happen. Whatever. But from here, so we have samples of everything else. They're all well known. It looks like it does it one more time at the end of the catching. So this would be 15 minutes after 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. So 3 sets of emails. Another one, just straight exit. Okay, well, let's open up the folder on that one. And again, you guys can't see that. Just had to kind of trust me because I'm not going to go through and keep screwing around with that stuff. And then here's the other one. Oh, Viagra RX. And then we're going to duplicate. And because I've got it open, we're going to come over here and we're going to grab the XLS M229 blah blah blah. And does that give us the same? Nope, hash is different. So 3 different loaded Word docs after infection. No idea as to how many people the email was actually sent to from all this stuff. So it's like, if I just say screw it and open it. The EML file, not the macro-enabled Excel document. Okay, the AV on the host is like, no. Okay, well, that's that then. That's fine. I mean, it would have had it directly attached to it anyways. So, okay. If that's the case, then what I am going to do is I think I've got enough to make my call on everything. I think. Because if I remember correctly, there was only a second difference. Yes. So here's the projection, or what I believe is what I'm going to end up finding here. So we don't see any sort of indication of anything else in terms of when the email came in, anything else along those lines. And then immediately we see at December 3rd, excuse me, need more coffee, 1942 UTC. The attempt to reach out to games.shop, games being misspelled. Cloudflare stops it. The following second, it reaches out to the secondary section for payload, because usually there's what? Like a handful, like 2 to 5, 6, 7 different additional payloads dumped in there in case something goes down. Oh, yeah, and don't mind anything after the notes colon. That's from a previous exercise. I haven't cleaned up the notes section for this particular one. But so a second later, we get the pull down for IE7MN-Y-F4C.dll, which when we run it through VT, confirms that it's Emotet DLL download, and that's the point where I'm going to sit there and call it. So technically, if we want to be retentive about it, we could say, okay, the infection started off whenever really they decided to open up that email and click the link. Best, or open up the macro enabled Office document that would have been there. But I don't think that they actually record this down to the actual second. But so my guess is going to be, it's going to be the desktop LUOA BV1 at 10.12.3.66 with the username of darin.figueroa. Date and time of the infection, December 3rd, 2021, 1942 UTC, and that the family of malware that causes the infection is Emotet. And so again, depending as to the portion of infection, um, it's either going to be 19, 42, and 47 seconds for the games.shop that was misspelled that Cloudflare stopped, or, of course, that's assuming, well, I mean, if they actually ran this on the 3rd, then they probably got it beforehand, so Cloudflare must have been on top of their game. The actual payload pulled down run, so again, December 3rd, 1942, 48 seconds UTC. But I'm just going to go hours and minutes as opposed to seconds. Although I guess if they really want to be that retentive, I guess I could break that down when I send off the email. But so there's this for everything here. I'm recording this on the last day for this actual challenge, which is the 19th. I'm going to see about having this come out on the 22nd, depending on availability of time. I might amend the video description when this comes out to include the link to the actual Internet Storm Center article that denotes as to whether or not what the results were, when are they selected, everything else like that. So I guess since I'm going to have this come out on the 22nd, which will actually be the same day that this stuff should come out, I'm not going to really do a follow-up video, but I will just amend the description to denote what I believe my guess is. I'll make sure to include the guess in the description, since obviously I'm doing this well before the chance I have any sort of opportunity to look at much of anything else. But so there, of everything, is my guess as to how this is going to break down. So I guess we'll find out on the 22nd, same day that this video will be released, as to whether or not if I'm right, wrong, or man, I really screwed the pooch on that analysis. But all right, I will, hopefully everybody will enjoy this being released on the 22nd, and at the same time, I guess if I get it terribly wrong, and if you happen to find this and you actually sat there and did it before the answers were available, I guess let me know as to possibly where I might have screwed up on the analysis. We'd go from there, make it into a learning opportunity. But with all that being said, this video, we'll see everybody on the 22nd.